Welcome to the latest episode of Curious What's Happening in Augmented and Virtual Reality. I'm Kristen Rohan, and we are really excited to share these episodes of what's happening in augmented reality and virtual reality, not just in Auckland and New Zealand, but around the world. In this episode, our director and co-founder, Rob Hanks, shared what happened at our latest meetup. It's a good one, so stay tuned. And thanks for listening.
Hi guys, it's Rob here from Curious. I'm really excited and glad to be here today. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we're up to in augmented and virtual reality land, and probably important to start where we actually came from. If you think about 300 years ago, we didn't have the steam engine. And even if you halve that, and 150 years ago, we didn't have the modern combustion engine motor car. Then 75 years ago, we didn't have the black and white TV. 35 years ago, we didn't have the computer, and 15 years ago, we did not have the mobile phone. So 7.5 years from now, where are we going to be? Well, it's going to be in spatial computing. So what's spatial computing? Well, it's the land of augmented and virtual reality, AI, digital technologies like beacons and NFC chips. Those sort of technologies that converge and talk to each other and make all our lives a little bit better. And that's what we're about. We run augmented and virtual reality meetups on a monthly basis in Auckland City. We cover things like what's hot, what's the latest news in virtual and augmented world. We run a TikTok workshop, and we have specialist speakers that come in and talk about the particular industry that we're talking about for that particular month. And lastly, the fourth section to our meetup is the Greater Good Project, where you can come along and experience what it takes to create an augmented or virtual reality experience. What I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about what we did last month. We invited Dr. Katrina Phillips and the Socius Group to talk about the healthcare industry, and specifically with the challenges and opportunities in the healthcare industry, given that 1.1 million people are either impaired or disabled in New Zealand. The challenges that it includes and the opportunities that are there for technology to improve it for the future. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we were doing at the last meetup. We focused specifically on the healthcare industry, helping to enable people for the future. Did you know that the New Zealand healthcare is a $16.8 billion industry, but yet somehow they don't have any money? One of the great things about what's happening at the moment is we're changing the way that we think about healthcare to be more values-based. That means that we're going to be more preventative. We're going to be using technology to release the expensive, labour-intensive things that we do on a daily basis by using point-of-use technology, using augmented and virtual reality. There are 1.1 million people in New Zealand classified as either impaired or disabled, and that's up 20% from the beginning of the century. If you think about what an impairment or a physical disability is, or a mental condition, it's anything that limits a person's movements, senses, or activities. And as we have an aging population, the burden on the healthcare industry is only going to get worse, which means the costs will get higher unless we do something different. Technology. The benefits of a values-based healthcare system, it's a pathway to a lower cost and a better quality of life for people. At lower costs, we get better outcomes. We have higher patient satisfaction rates and better care efficiencies. We have better alignment of prices with patient outcomes, and we have reduced healthcare spending and better overall health. And this doesn't come around by magic. So first it really starts with the people at the top. And you think about the values. We've come from a capital-based system, and we're moving to a value-based system. But that in itself is not enough. So what we require is some kind of platform or system which we can employ the technology. And that is universal design. What's universal design? Well, there's 7 key principles. One is about equitable use. An example of this might be, you've noticed some of the footpaths around New Zealand now have those little ramps that go down to the road, so people in wheelchairs can easily use the footpath and the road as somebody that does not use a wheelchair. The flexibility of use and the simple, intuitive way that we do things. making information perceptible for people maybe with hard of hearing, or maybe they're blind, or tolerance for error. So a little bit more tolerant in our society. Require lower physical effort, and the size and space for doorways and approach and use and pathways and ramps for people to use. Once we have the system and the platform in place, then we can start to look at the tools and techniques of digital technology. And that can be the use of IoT and sensors and the collation of data that tells us a little bit more information about the smarter way of using the things that are at our disposal. Seamless AI-based systems and automated care, and systems that provide the platform for improvement. Purposeful augmented and virtual reality as tools, and data, for example, being sent directly to the doctor so they can tell at any point in time the state of your health and healthcare. And of course, human tech sensors like eye tracking and neural tech all add to value. Now that's a little bit about the background of the healthcare industry and what we're doing for the future. So remember, it starts with values, it moves on to the systems and the platforms, and then they start looking at the way that the different tools and techniques of digital technology are used for the better. I was really excited to have behavioural psychologist Dr. Katrina Phillips from Auckland University speaking at our May healthcare meetup. She spoke about the challenges and the opportunities surrounding people with impairments and disabled with aged care. The example that she used was that the people in nursing homes, they live basically from meal to meal. They wake up in the morning, they have their breakfast, and they basically wait until lunchtime before there's more interaction, unless they want to do the jigsaw that they've now done for the 50th time. And they become very lonely, and they become depressed, they can become alienated, and there needs to be a way of filling that time in a quality, fulfilling way. One way that technology bridges that gap is, for example, virtual reality. You can don a virtual reality headset and escape to another world, whether it be a movie or a documentary or something that interests the person. And so they are not relegated to a chair in a nursing home, but they have an escape to another world that they can enjoy between meals. The second lot of people that we had at the May Healthcare Augmented Meetup was the Socius team. They were a special case where they started in the summer lab and were immediately whisked off to a competition in Barcelona to showcase their use of technology to help people with autism. People with autism, they struggle with social communication or social interaction, but these behaviours can be learned through a scriptive process. And what they did is they came up with a way of using virtual reality with a scripting process that could take people through learning about how to respond to social cues to improve their communication and interaction. And this was immediately obvious when they showed their YouTube video at our healthcare meetup. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that a little bit later in another episode when we get Sarah Anzel and Walian from the Socius Group back again. At the beginning of every meetup, like I mentioned before, we have a section on the latest news and what's hot in the world of augmented and virtual reality. In the meetup in May, at the healthcare, we had a special guest, Rob Rohan, who is the co-founder of this particular meetup, where he spoke about virtual reality, the Oculus Rift release, but also the release of the virtual reality Valve Index, which is a very special piece of equipment. Next time, we'll be covering workplace process improvement. And this is very close to my heart because I'm a lean business improvement specialist. And so we'll be looking at lean business systems and how technology, specifically augmented and virtual reality, will be used to drive big workplace changes. See you there.
Thanks, Rob. Didn't that sound like a great meetup? Well, as Rob said, you can join us every second Wednesday of the month at EY in Auckland. Go to curiate.co.nz for more information or join us on Facebook. We look forward to seeing you.